Alrighty, I'll turn my volume down. Hey, Steve, mate, how are ya? How you doing, buddy? All right, so look, today I wanted to just kind of open up the discussion to have a chat. Talk to me about anything, business mindset, emotions, things like that. The topic I do want to talk about today, though, is how do I create lifelong change, right? Like, how do I let go of things that have been holding me down, and how do I make sure that when I do kind of get beyond my own bullshit, right, that it doesn't come back to haunt me, it doesn't come back and creates chaos again in the future, right? So in order to do that, right, there's we teach this all the time. Like, I've been doing NLP trainings now and teaching and certifying people in NLP for a very, very long time. I think about 7 years now, yeah? And like, whenever I teach people how to coach and how to do this kind of thing as a business, it's kind of like there's three things you need to do when you're working on if you're trying to be like a transformational coach, right? Like, you're working with emotions, you're working with mindset, or anything like that. There's really only three things that need to change. And I'm going to draw it for you in 2 seconds because obviously I am hyper visual and this kind of makes everything a little bit easier. But if you can see what's on the screen right now, hey, I can see me. Can you see me? Hopefully I can see me and we can all see me and it's all great. But there's three real things that you look at when it comes to how do I create change. So the first thing, and if we just make these into a couple of little columns here, right? So the first thing that we're looking at, right, is number one, we need to let go of our internal stuff, right? So we need to let go of our internal baggage. Yeah, we need to let go. And what that means, baggage, just so you know, means any limiting thoughts. So our thoughts, it means any limiting beliefs that we have, like outlooks on the world. It means like any internal conflicts. When you feel conflicted, like party wants to do this, party wants to do that, you got to fix that, right? Because that's when you're like got that kind of two-mind thing going on, right? Like, sometimes I want to be like this and sometimes I want to do that. That's bad, right? That just makes you feel conflicted. So we've got to get rid of our conflicts. And obviously, we also need to let go of our emotions, yeah? We have to, because here's the thing. I've explained this many times in lots of different ways, but like, we store emotion throughout the body, right? And like, if you have, let's say, for example, down here, you've got an event that occurred in the past, yeah? Now, this is out in the past, yeah? Out here, you're in the past. Now, let's say here you are right now. This is you. You're either a smiley face or you got a sad face, whichever one it happens to be. Let's say this is the present, yeah? Now, if you had this thing happen out here, right there, and you weren't able to resolve and deal with that thing on the spot, an important idea to understand and keep in mind is that you've got two parts of your mind, two parts of your thought process. You got a conscious thought process, which, quite often we call the conscious mind. And then you've got another part of your thought process, right, which is called the unconscious mind. Now, consciously, this is what people do, right? We often, and this is my biggest qualm with typical psychology and stuff like that. And when they just go in with a very logic-based, talk kind of therapy method, is that often people, like I said, I've done this for 10 years and I've had a lot of people come to see me after they've seen everybody else, right, without getting a result. And quite often they've rationalized the shit out of this thing back here, right? Let's say this thing back here was a big, scary event, something absolutely horrible that happened to you. Now, what happens here and what determines whether we feel good or whether we feel bad out here is whether we got resolution back there. And I hope that makes sense. Once again, feel free to, hey mate, thanks for like, no worries, Cameron, man. Hope you're feeling good, dude. I've got my phone down here. I've got a camera up there and I'm using a new platform. So I feel like a tech wizard right now. I'm like a gorilla with a keyboard. So we've got this conscious mind, right, that rationalizes all the stuff that happens in our past. But the fact is, if you still feel emotions, here's an important idea to understand. Current psychological literature says that if you still feel emotion towards events that happened 18 months in the past, so 18 months in the past, that means that thing, for example, this thing here, is still unresolved. What that means is that your unconscious mind is holding onto the emotion to keep you safe. Hope I'm articulating myself properly, yeah? And the magic, right? Let's say the magic and also the curse. The curse of that is that if you don't release this emotion from these events, and like we've got all these events along here, right? There's all these different events. all these events. Some are really, really big. Some are really, really small, right? We often remember the really, really big ones. They're like the big, like fireworks, traumatic experiences. But the fact is that if we've got the emotion still attached to the memory beyond 18 months ago, that means it's not resolved. The problem with that is that your unconscious mind is keeping the emotion there to keep you safe in the future. However, what's much more healthy and much more better for your body is to let go of the emotion and get the learning, right? The learning is the thing that can keep us safe. However, most people, what they do is they don't get the learning part right. And I'll tell you why I think that is in 2 seconds. But I think there's one fundamental disconnect that occurs that stops people actually getting the learning, that actually communicates to the unconscious mind, hey, I get it. I get it. I can be safe without the anger, without the fear, without the hurt, without the guilt, without that insert undesired negative emotion, right? So that's the first thing we need to do, right? Step one is we need to go in and we need to clean up our past, right? And I like to use the metaphor of a garden, right? Imagine you've got a garden filled with weeds. If you want to go and create an amazing, beautiful life, the worst thing you can do is to walk up to a garden that's full of weeds and start laying your seeds, right? It makes no sense. I'm not necessarily a gardener myself, so maybe I'm completely bloody wrong. But in my estimation, putting seeds into a bloody garden filled with weeds doesn't make sense. So you want to rip the weeds out first. That's what we do in step number one when we start to create lifelong, forever change. I mean, the kind of change that transforms every area of your life. We get rid of the crap. We eliminate all of the baggage on these emotions, right? We turn them from negative to positive. We release the emotion. In the place of the old emotion, what we do is we get learnings, right? And what the learnings do, the learning says to our unconscious mind, hey, I get it. I can now be safe in the future, right? Because uncertainties about the future, uncertainties about being safe in the future perpetuate negative emotions. So we need to say to ourselves, hey, I get it. I get it. I get it. Anyway, the structure of learnings, right? This is very important. So there's a structure of getting learnings that works, and there's a structure to getting learnings that doesn't work that makes the emotion stay stuck. So the structure that you need to do when you think about things from the past, you need to try to see, and this takes like flexibility in thought, right? Flexibility in thought, flexibility in character to be able to do what I'm about to tell you. But you need to be able to go back into the past and try to see the events that have occurred in the past and say, what's the positive, empowering learning that I can take from this thing that's occurring, yeah? The next thing, you need to reflect that just onto you. So reflect that on yourself. It's not about anybody else. And this is a big disconnect people have, because like when I chat to people, and I've worked with lots, hundreds of people over the years, yeah? Just one-to-one, that's not even including like on stages and doing big events. Like the amount of times that people come in and when they start to give me their learnings as we start to let things go, like it's shocking. It's not shocking. It's not even really that weird to hear, because it's just a natural way people think, which is negative. But most people, they go like this, right? They go, I won't do this in the future because I will be much more cautious of other people. Now, see that there, think about this. Let's assume that you were, you got beat up by a gang of people, right? You're out walking down the street and they jumped you and they stole your wallet, right? Let's say something like that happened. Now, a very rational, conscious mind learning to get from that, and this is the issue, right, that I have with a lot of talk therapies, is that like a conscious mind logic way of looking at that would be, okay, I was walking down the street, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be much more careful of other people. I'm going to make sure I look at other people so I can assess the situations better, and that's going to keep me safe. Now, on the surface, that's completely rational, that's completely logical. However, logic exists at the conscious, logic exists at the conscious level, yeah? So your conscious mind. That does nothing for the thing that's actually storing the negative emotion, that thing that's perpetuating the trauma, keeping you stuck, which is your unconscious mind, right? So, and the reason why is because we reflect the learning onto other people. Your unconscious mind doesn't care about anybody else. Your unconscious mind is the most self-centered, selfish being in existence. The only thing it cares about is you, your safety, your health, you being okay. Does not care about your goals, does not care about you having a big house, fancy car, looking great, or anything. It cares about you being warm, staying fed, and having connection, love, or some sort of thing like that in your life. That's it. So we have to understand this, yeah? So positive self, and most importantly too, we need to be able to take those learnings and reflect those out into the future. So what does this positive self-learning mean for me now? And what does it mean for my future? We need to be able to say to our unconscious mind, hey, this is what the future looks like now that I've learned from this, now that I can be safe. That starts to let the emotion go. But I'll tell you the problem that a lot of people have, right? This is the issue. And in my opinion, why a lot of people get stuck. The reason why is because there's two ways of thinking in life. So imagine you've got this line here. Now, there's two axes that are in operation in regards to the ways that we can think. So you can either be what's called in NLP circles, we call it being at cause. Now, being at cause, if I was to break that down into a number of words, being at cause means that you take extreme ownership of the things that are going on in your life, yeah? It means that you take responsibility for what's happening around. Right? What I mean by that is I don't mean that you blame yourself or you take fault for things that aren't your fault. What I mean is that, like, if something's impacting you, yeah, and you've got the power to change it, you change it. You don't just sit and dwell in it. You don't be a victim. You change it. That's called taking ownership and having responsibility. And finally, the last part, if I was to really define being at cause, is you'd call it having accountability, yeah? That means holding yourself to a standard. And having a standard there. And a big problem a lot of people have, right, is that somehow at some time along the way, they've allowed their own personal standards to diminish, right? And, you know, that can happen in many different areas of life in many different ways. But we have to be able to have accountability, responsibility, and ownership. That level of thinking, that level of being is called being at cause. Now, the flip side of the coin, right? The flip side of the coin, the opposite number, is called being at the effect side of life. Now, this kind of person here, this is the kind of person, right? They're at the effect of everyone and everything. And what that does, it keeps them stuck. It prevents them from getting learnings. It prevents them from growing. So the best way you could kind of surmise living at effect, you could say people that live at the effect side of the equation, they're the kind of people, right, that have got excuses for why things aren't going right. Yeah, they've got excuses for why things aren't going right. And you know this kind of person. Like, I've been like this in the past. I'm sure you have as well. But this kind of person, right, when you say to them, hey, how's your business going? Right? They go, oh, yeah, well, it would be going good, but, and then boom, insert excuse, yeah? So they've got excuses why things aren't going right. And the next thing, right, is they then blame as well. So instead of taking responsibility for their part in whatever the chaos is that's going on in their lives, they blame everyone and everything for what's going wrong. This is a way of thinking. This is not a person. This is a way of thinking that people can get stuck in, right? So they make excuses for what's going on. Hey, Stace, how are you? We're just talking about you just earlier, Dean and I. We're going, where's Stacey? Hope you've been good, Dar. We'll have a chat later. So they then blame people, right? So they're making excuses for things not going right. They blame people for things not going how they'd like it to be. And then finally, right, they live in denial. They live in denial for their part that they play in their own chaos. And this is very, very important. This is an idea, right, that basically says that, like, you know, we project all of our internal stuff out onto the world. And we do that so we can learn, grow, and evolve. And the fact is, whilst we continue to make excuses for what's going wrong, we continue to shift the blame outside of ourselves, when we continue to be in denial for our part in the creation of chaos, right, we basically rob ourselves of our growth. That's what I'm getting with this, yeah? And it's actually, in my opinion, an experience working with lots of clients. It is impossible to get these kind of learnings up here, right? It's impossible to get these kind of learnings, the kind that actually release emotion, when you're living at the effect side of the equation. Like, they just don't live in the same dimension. They don't live on the same axis together. And let me visually explain to you the difference in life. So imagine that up here, let's imagine, right? So up here, you've got a good quality of life. And imagine that down here, you've got chaos, because I've used that word a couple of times now, and I love that. It kind of rolls off the tongue. Chaos. It's the chaos. Now, take a look at this. This is just interesting. So when you live at cause, and this is what I mean when I say living at cause and living at effect live on different axes, yeah? They don't live on the same plane. Check this out. So let's say you got one going up here. That there is called being at cause. And once again, as you can see, effect doesn't live there. Effect has its own place, its own destination. And this is what's very important, right? I don't know if I've got any space to actually write it in there, but hopefully I do. I'll just zoom in. So when you live at cause, you go to a positive place. When you live at the effect side of the equation, you go to a negative place. So it really comes down to you thinking, well, where do I want to go? What do I want my life to be like? Because if you stay at the effect side, there is this too much evidence based on everyone that I've worked with over the years that you're not going to be happy with your life, yeah? It may be now that shit hits the fan, it may be tomorrow, maybe 5 years from now. The fact is, the longer we live at the effect side, the more chaos we create in our lives. And the more that we push ourselves to being at cause, right, the more that we start to perpetuate the kind of behaviors, habits, intention, energy, manifest all the good things into our lives, right? So that's a quick little explanation of what's going on there. So we need to get positive self-future learnings. That releases the emotion. It makes us feel absolutely amazing right now. So you can effectively go ahead and get rid of that unhappy face, because when you let go of the emotions, when you be at cause, boom, you feel good now and you feel good in the future. Now, the next element to this, right, and this is where a lot of people kind of fall over, is the next thing you need to do in order to live an amazing life now and all the way into the future is that once you've cleared the garden, right, you then need to do something else, right, which is called taking action. This is really, really important. And like taking action has a number of dimensions to it. The first one is that you need to take action on your goals. Yeah. You don't sit there. You don't just like try to manifest things going, oh, which is fun. I make those noises for my son, to be completely fair, my newborn, that is, a 4-week-old, because it makes him calm down. But it doesn't manifest any greatness into my life. So we need to take action. We have goals, we have outcomes that we want to move towards, and we get out there and we move towards it. So we have to take action. That's the first dimension to action. The second one, which is, I find to be severely overlooked and unappreciated, is that you need to have boundaries. You've got boundaries already, okay? What happens when you let go of your baggage and all your bullshit is that you develop very strong boundaries, okay? And it's absolutely critical for your well-being, your mental health, and your emotional health that you start to enforce your boundaries, okay? Because if you continue to let people walk all across you, what's going to happen is you're going to develop psychological and emotional issues, yeah? Repressed anger. You're going to get frustrated. Like it builds up when you don't enforce your boundaries. It's very, very important. So taking action has 2 core elements. Hey, Tamara, how you doing, Dale? Has 2 core elements, yeah? Number 1, you need to take action on the goals that you have. And number 2, you need to set and enforce your boundaries, okay? There's things you need to start doing. There's things you need to stop doing. There's standards you need to set in place. And there's things that you have to have absolutely living in the non-tolerated zone. Does that make sense? So that's the second element to it. Now, in respect to the third element, I've already kind of kind of taught it, but I'll quickly cover it one more time. The third thing, let me change my pen, eh? The third thing, which is going to allow you to live an absolutely magnificent, unparalleled, unbeatable life is, how's that for a bit of word vomit? Is you have to be at cause, okay? You have to be at cause. Every single day, you're not going to be shuffling, but for those that get the joke, you got the joke. For those that don't, oh well. You have to be at cause, yeah? Which means that you need to pull yourself up. Like when you go into a negative state, you have to ask yourself the question, am I being at cause or effect right now? That question in and of itself is very, very powerful. What it does, it pulls us out of our own ruts. I said this at the live event that we did this weekend gone. Like we get stuck in these thought ruts. And by ruts, what I mean is, imagine that you've got like a tractor. I'm going to perform some amazing art right now, yeah? So imagine you've got this tractor right here, yeah? It is a tractor, believe it or not. Oops, there we go. Whoa. Okay, so imagine that this tractor right here, every day, and here's a house right there. Okay? So imagine that this tractor goes out to plow the fields out here every single day. Now imagine that the farmer every single day goes along the same path. what happens? What's very, very interesting. Imagine that he never ever turns around, moves around. He just drives out, reverses back. Drives out, reverses back. Imagine he did it for 20 years. What happens is that the ruts in the ground, the tracks that the wheels have, basically cut out in the ground, become deeper and stronger, stronger and deeper, to the point that guy could literally just put his tractor in drive and bang. He wouldn't even have to touch the steering wheels, right? At some point, we get these ruts in our mind, these tracks in our mind that are so deep, so well walked upon that, we just instantly become depressed, instantly become anxious, instantly become agitated, frustrated, offended, insert whatever the negative behavior is. So it takes willed mental force, which is a neuroscience term, where you actually start to reshape your brain's internal architecture, right? It's called changing your neural architecture based on willed mental force, making a decision and focusing on something and changing your behaviors. It's not impossible, but it can be challenging. But just because something's challenging doesn't mean it's not worth pursuing. It's very, very important, yeah? Anyway, I want to wrap this video up because I've gone so goddamn long. But let me change my view. There we go, look at this. Hey, I'm like a wizard. I feel like a wizard. All right, so anyway, I hope this has been valuable. Once again, look, if you've got any questions, you want to reach out, feel free to shoot me a message. I'm always happy to have chats. As you may or may not know, look, we do this kind of work at Alpha Omega every bloody day. Every day we're working with clients, both in a business setting, but also in a therapy setting as well, doing coaching, therapy, emotions, well-being, psychology, stuff like that. So reach out to us if you want to have a chat. Any videos you want me to talk about, any things you want me to talk about, feel free to let me know as well. And aside from that, have a great weekend, guys. I feel like a wizard. I have just rocked this. Anyway, take care. Bye-bye.